And next up, it is in fact heavyweights. Jameel McCline, longtime top 10 contender, and journeyman Zuri Lawrence, who would like someone to call him a top 10 contender, and he's hoping a win here tonight would help make that possible. Two 35-year-olds trying to be a part of what is now a mosaic in the heavyweight division. And our own Sean O'Grady is backstage where he'll talk to the fighters.
Thanks, Al. Zuri Lawrence is ready to go. Back here in the back, he's trying to stay loose. A little bead of sweat going on him, trying to keep him loose back here. He's ready to go. And Zuri, you know what you get with Jameel. How are you going to come out in this fight?
Just going to box, stay busy, keep Jameel off the guard, just keep him moving.
He's a big guy. You going to have any apprehension about forcing the attack?
No, not at all. I slip punches good.
You slip punches and you're going to stay low, right?
Very much.
He knows the fight plan. He knows Jameel McCline. He knows what he wants to do. So, Al, he should be ready for this fight tonight.
All right, Zuri Lawrence, the 35-year-old boxer, very much a boxer. And you know a guy's a boxer when he has absolutely no knockouts in his professional career, and that is Zuri Lawrence's. An interesting anomaly, especially among heavyweights. And he'll be coming out momentarily to take on Jameel McCline, who is a big 6'6" fella who will weigh in at upwards of 260-some pounds. And he will be a tall mountain for Zuri Lawrence. And we go back to Sean O'Grady, and he will have the other part of this equation in this heavyweight matchup.
Yeah. Thanks, Al. Former two-time world championship challenger Jameel McCline. When you come into this fight, you have so much experience, so much background. What are you looking for now?
Just like to say happy birthday to my baby girl home. Brianna, happy birthday, baby. Big Papa loves you.
What kind of birthday present you want to give her?
Knockout tonight. Yeah. Let's do this work, babies. Say bo.
Hey, there he goes. He's ready to go, and thanks for talking to me. I tell you, he's a guy that really is focused. He really gets in the sense of the fight. He is ready to fight. That's how focused he is. Al?
Thank you. Thank you, Sean. Well, the two combatants giving Sean some last-minute comments, and we appreciate them doing that just before they're ready to go out. Not always an easy time for boxers. And we're just about set to go. We're getting very close to being ready for this heavyweight encounter between these two 35-year-olds, Jameel McCline and Zuri Lawrence, as McCline tries to jump right back into the fray in the heavyweight division. Lawrence tries to make a place for himself in that division. We are awaiting these two fighters, and so we're just about set to go. Let's go up to Bob Alexander.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, making his way to the ring at this time, here is Zuri Lawrence.
Here comes Zuri Lawrence, 35-year-old, who comes in off a loss to Sultan Ibragimov, a heavyweight of note, who stopped Lawrence in the 11th round in their last fight. That was in April. He has sparred with Jameel McCline before. That was in 1997, but this is for real, and of course, it's a little different. There is Zuri Lawrence, the 35-year-old from Poughkeepsie, New York, now living in Wappinger Falls. And he's a heavyweight that comes in with no knockouts, and that's an anomaly for heavyweight.
It is. But he's more of a stylish kind of guy, kind of like Foreman. Picks his opponent apart, turns him around, spins and turns.
All right, we'll see how he does. And the man he's going to try and spin and turn is coming up now.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, as he enters the ring, let's welcome Jameel Big Time McCline.
There's Jameel McCline, pretty wired for this fight. You sensed it, I think, in his interview with Sean, but it was also evident yesterday as well. has challenged for the heavyweight title twice. Comes in off a third-round KO of Steve Pinnell in August. Before that, a couple of losses against Calvin Brock and Chris Berg. You see the intensity.
A fighter who has performed at the top level of boxing. He's wearing golden trunks tonight. Sounds like a movie, Golden Trunks. He says, I'm back. He said boxing is fun again, and it is fun. As long as you're having fun in the sport, you will do well.
Well, he's certainly heavily involved in the music in this entrance, as are some other folks. Jameel McCline claims he is in the best shape he's been in the last 4 years. We'll see. See how these guys match up. And we take a look at the tail of the tape, and clearly the heightened weight advantage to Jameel McCline, and that is the key difference here. So Zuri Lawrence facing a much bigger man, and when they sparred, Lawrence said the reach was real evidence to him.
But he said he did not outreach me. He said he jabbed with Jameel. He said he knew exactly where he was in the ring. You know, big guys in boxing, sometimes they're a little clumsy, but Jameel McCline is not that way.
All right, well, we're set to go in this heavyweight encounter. Let's go to Bob Alexander.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next fight of the evening is scheduled for 10 rounds of boxing in the heavyweight division. Your judges scoring this fight at ringside are Rick Bays, Mark Streisand, and Bill Ray. Your referee in charge of the action is Tommy Kimmons. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the red trunks with the black trim. He weighed in at 238.5 pounds. His professional record, 19 wins, 10 losses with 4 draws. He comes from Wappinger, New York. Let's welcome Zuri Lawrence. His opponent fighting out of the red corner, wearing the gold trunks with the black trim. He weighed in at 268.5 pounds. His professional record, 32 wins, 5 losses, 3 draws with 20 wins by knockout. He comes from Port Jefferson, New York. Let's welcome Jameel Big Time McCline. 10 rounds of boxing in the heavyweight division. Referee Tommy Kimmons with the instructions.
Round 5, and you receive your instructions. I want to remind you, this oriented to watch you fight, so keep it clean. Touch him up.
We're set for round number 1 in this 10-round heavyweight encounter between Jameel McCline and Zuri Lawrence. There is Zuri Lawrence, who says the key to winning this fight is his jab. We'll see if he can be effective with that. And across the way is Jameel McCline, the 35-year-old long-time contender who wants to get back into everyone's top 10. He's still ranked number 9 by the IBF, but has fallen out of the other top 10s. And even from the get-go, Sean, McCline told us he's going to box more than he has in recent fights.
And he said, I was successful in the past because of my conditioning. He says he's in fantastic condition for this fight. But it was Lawrence who came out and started jabbing. You know, my father worked my corner. My father always told me, the last thing he said before the bell, is set the jab. You get the jab working, everything else kind of like falls in place. If the jab works, everything works.
Well, we'll see who can establish that. Lawrence certainly wants to.
Well, that's what he learned when he sparred with Jameel McCline. He was successful with the jab. You step in there and use it. But here you don't have headgears, and your gloves are a lot smaller.
That sparring session we talked about took place back in 1997.
They didn't go and look at it.
Did you call that?
Yes, I was there
Okay, you
for
were
it.
there, yeah.
I had to be in the gym that day. They said, would you announce this? I said, sure, no problem.
While you're here, just announce a little bit of this fight.
McCline and his people looked at old tapes.
Nice.
Yeah, nice work on the inside by McCline. Oh, and Lawrence with a good body. We saw more body shots here in this first round already since the whole last fight. Wow, good left hook downstairs by Lawrence.
Nice to see a heavyweight going to the body.
Halfway through round number 1, McCline and his people looked at old tapes of him and they said, why aren't you doing this and why aren't you doing that? And they're going to try very hard to get back to what he was doing 3 or 4 years ago.
And he says, I'm still a top 10 guy because I'm an awesome fighter. And he really is. Look at his back. Look at the muscles in his back. You know, Jameel McCline has such power in those punches. 10 years as a pro. His style is a boxer puncher. 20 KOs in his 32 wins. Got in the gym in 1994. Our first and only amateur fight, he knocked a guy out in the first round, so he thought, hey, I can do this. And he has. He's done it well.
Sure. He comes in off a 3-round knockout win over Steve Pinnell. That was right here in this very arena back in April.
Kind of shaking out the cobwebs. Pinnell, 34-8.
So in round number 1, both men have tried to establish a jab. Both men have thrown some very good body shots. Final seconds here in round number 1, and these heavyweights are throwing lots of punches, and we like to see that from heavyweights.
One step back.
Really a fast first round for heavyweights.
Yep. Time! We follow Jameel McCline back to the corner. Let's see what they're going to say to him.
And that is Jimmy Glenn in his corner, the papa of boxing. Jimmy Glenn had Times Square Boxing Gym in New York, still has it. Just a great boxing guy. Worked a lot with my father who was in boxing. I've known Jimmy since I was a little bitty boy. He is Mr. Experience. He's the Burgess Meredith of New York, Times Square. Sure. Solid guy. Jameel with this flurry. Now, I like this. You don't see that very much. Look at that. Shoe shine punches. You turn your fists up, palm up, and you punch like a shoe shiner would punch. Ray Robinson made that famous. He'd clean your clock on the inside and then come over the top with a big wide hook. What round is it, Al?
It's round number 2. We head into the second round, and it is scheduled for 10. Couple of heavyweights. Jameel McCline in the gold trunks, and in the black it is Zuri Lawrence, 2 35-year-olds, though in distinctly different positions in the heavyweight situation, because McCline, who has been a contender for the last 4 or 5 years, still ranked in the top 10 in the IBF, and Lawrence, who came in there with a 19-10 record, and 4 draws, hoping to get into contention.
And some really good skills from Lawrence. You know, we talked the last fight about the foot feints of Foreman. Look at the hand feints of Lawrence. Look at his hands constantly moving. You're giving something to your opponent. You're putting your hands out there, kind of like getting him to blink. McCline not blinking, though. He's too much of a pro for that. Good left uppercut to the body.
McCline working very well. McCline challenged twice for the heavyweight title for the WBO crown in 2002 against Vladimir Klitschko, was stopped in the 10th. Then against his good friend Chris Bird last year. Lawrence moving in there with some effective work. He had Bird down in the second round, but lost a very controversial 12-round decision.
Split decision.
Yeah. It was actually a very entertaining fight.
Yeah, Chris Bird is a hard fighter to face.
He is.
Kind of like Foreman we talked about in the last fight. All kinds of different looks.
Now, Zuri Lawrence is a never knocks anybody out. Hasn't knocked anybody out. So he made the point that for him, conditioning is everything. And the other thing that is everything for him is you have to really try and win every round you can win. There are no such thing as taking a round off if you have no chance to score a knockout.
You know, I had such great respect for these kind of fighters because they did. That's the way they fought. They just got in there to go the distance. They tried to pick up the victory. Sometimes they take a fight on last minute notice. They take a fight in another man's hometown. I always had just great respect and admiration for those kind of fighters.
Well, in Zuri Lawrence's case, I think he's just not a big enough hitter in the heavyweight division for knockouts. So try though he may, not a good idea. McCline got hit with a big left hook by Zuri Lawrence there. Is he in trouble?
Look at that, just as we're talking about Lawrence.
McCline has been in trouble before in fights. In his fight with Cedric Boswell a couple years ago, a wildly exciting match. He was in trouble several times during the fight, came back to knock Boswell out, but he was in plenty of difficulty. So
He gets recuperated easily.
Yeah.
Boswell undefeated in that fight, 21-0.
pretty good second round for Zuri Lawrence.
Zuri Lawrence back to his corner. Really good second round for him, but that's been really the knock on Lawrence. He gets fighters hurt. He's got power, but he can't quite put them away. You know, you gotta take another level. You gotta really zero in. When you have somebody hurt, you really gotta focus even more so than you have any other point in the fight. Here's a look at what was happening early from Zuri. Looked like he was in a hurry with these punches. Good right cross that landed well. McCline survived that. A little bit later in the round, it was Zuri Lawrence who put on the pressure. McCline trying to hold his hands up around his face. A few of those punches got through. Pretty good second round for Lawrence. Let's see if he can capitalize.
We move into the third in this scheduled 10-rounder. Jameel McCline in the gold trunks, and in the black, it is Zuri Lawrence, and some surprising power in round two from Lawrence, as he probably evened the score in this fight.
Look at those feints. Look at those jerks. That's very nice from Lawrence. So important because you control the guy. And look at how McCline turns him. He turns Lawrence. The way to do that is you step over to your right. You step behind your opponent.
Tommy Kimmons, you hear him. He's a very vocal referee tonight, our third commentator. And,
joining us for the broadcast.
Yes, exactly.
From the ring.
Left hand underneath a moment ago by McCline. You know, McCline, I mentioned he's rated number 9th by the IBF. They're very angry at the WBC that pushed him down all the way to 33rd, and certainly he's not the 33rd best heavyweight in the world. Clearly he might be a little higher than that. But they said wins will take care of it, and he's got to win and try to get ranked. Wow, Zuri Lawrence really can throw that left hook to the body, Sean. I mean, for a guy who's a boxer and with no knockouts, he cranks it up there, doesn't he?
He's got good power in the left hand. The reason is, see how his weight is centered over that left foot? So his left hand is usually more powerful than his right.
Tries a left uppercut from way out. A dangerous maneuver, but he got away with it.
Favorite punch is his jab. Coming into this fight, he knew that he was going to be in a must-win situation. He said, if I'm going to play with the big boys, I got to win this fight tonight. So he really has a lot on the line. Into boxing since he was 17. His friend took him to the gym, and he beat his friend up. He went 36-7 as the amateur. Lawrence did.
Under a minute left to go in round number 3, and a double left hook by Zuri Lawrence. Not afraid to rumble with the man who is some 30 pounds bigger than him. McCline coming back with the right hand. What's happening in this round is what some people have criticized Jameel McCline for, kind of zoning out in a fight and allowing people to take the play away from him.
Yeah, well, he got hit, too.
Yeah,
that'll make you something out.
Yes, it will.
Good combination from McCline.
Zuri Lawrence really, you know, he said the jab was an important punch. I'll tell you what, the left hook has been very effective.
Exactly, and he's smothering the punches. 90% of the power of the punches right at the end, that final snap. McCline has got an 82-inch reach. Get your opponent on the end of your punch, then snap it.
Well, some intriguing early rounds here. Maybe a slightly different feel to this fight than we thought there might be in the first 2 rounds. Let's listen in and hear what they're telling Jameel McCline.
Don't do nothing else. You understand? You gotta keep doing something. You understand? If you want to get him out of there, you gotta go right back.
Well, it was Jameel McCline who had a good combination in that round, but too far and few between. The right hand set up by the jab. Lawrence came back from that and scored well toward the end of the round. Lawrence had a pretty good rally.
It is time for round number 4 in the scheduled 10-rounder. No knockdowns yet in this fight. In fact, none this evening. But we've had a lot of good action here. And there's Zuri Lawrence unveiling a terrific combination. And he is fighting with a lot of fire tonight.
And he needs to. He knows he needs to. He needs to do everything he can to try to win this fight.
So far, this might be one of Zuri Lawrence's better performances as a professional. Fighting, obviously, undeniably, a pretty good heavyweight. Jameel McCline, a man who has been in there with superb fighters, has twice challenged for the heavyweight championship, and has carved himself out some big wins in the heavyweight division against the likes of Vince Whitaker, Shannon Briggs, Michael Grant, and others.
And look at this. Good combination. Zuri, and for Jameel, he's just frozen. He's just standing there. You have to fire back. You know, Lawrence, sparring partner, all those fighters. Also, it was Jameel McCline who started sparring with Ray Mercer, Lennox Lewis, Hasim Rockman, Andrew Galata, and he learned how to box there. Without any amateur experience, he learned that that's the way you box. He learned a great deal. Seems like that's what he needs to do now.
Action picking up. Good sharp right hand by McCline, and now he and Zuri Lawrence making this a very entertaining heavyweight matchup. Battling away on the inside. We're halfway through round number 4. Lawrence has forced McCline to pick up the pace a little bit.
And they are begging from the corner of McCline for him to jab. Jab's so important. It keeps your opponent out there at the end so you can nail him with the big, powerful right hand.
You know, I really don't remember Zuri Lawrence being this effective a body puncher. Sean, he is ripping those left hooks to the body and getting a lot of leverage on him as well.
Now, it's really fun to watch somebody like that fight. He likes what he's doing. He came in here, you know, he kind of knew what he wanted to do. Now he's doing it.
McCline missing a combination, and one of the things you have to remember about McCline as we watch Zuri Lawrence go to town is he is, as we saw in the Cedric Boswell fight and a couple of others, Jameel McCline is capable of a sudden outburst that will turn a fight around. So, even though the performance by Lawrence has been very good so far, Jameel McCline is clearly a very dangerous fellow in there.
Oh, he's got a big right hand, powerful punches.
But here in round number 4 for Zuri Lawrence, he loves the way this round went, and really the way a good portion of this fight has gone. The plot is thickening here at the end of round 4.
Oh, leaning on him. That's a lot of weight on you. 267.5 pounds on top of Zuri Lawrence. Picking it up just a bit in that round with Jameel McCline. Jimmy Glenn.
Don't back up. Step inside.
Here is Zuri Lawrence. He was real effective early in this round, and remember, the judges are going to. The judges are going to remember the last part of the round more vividly. But here is what they remember more vividly. Right at the end of the round, it was McCline, kind of. That'll beat your legs down. You know, that'll wear your legs out, leaning over like that. Then 267 pounds on top of you.
Get that towel. Get over here. Run up. Okay, we'll do it.
We're approaching the midway point of this heavyweight matchup. Zuri Lawrence in the black trunks and Jameel McCline in the gold. Lawrence came in with a 19-10 record. And Jameel McCline, a perennial contender in the heavyweight division, 32-5 with 3 draws. Lawrence also has 4 draws. And I think it's safe to say this fight, from Lawrence's standpoint, has been fought at a slightly quicker pace than we might have even imagined.
No doubt. No doubt. And the pace has been set by Zuri. Zuri has kept on the pressure. He's used his combinations well. He starts off with the body, then works to the head. There's a shoe shine from Jameel. But in my estimation, Jameel's just being out-punched, out-hustled.
Certainly more punching coming from Lawrence.
And it's frustrating to fight somebody like Lawrence. Frustrating because you want him to just stand still. Let me hit you. Hold on right there.
More inside action than I think we might have expected from Lawrence, but he's been effective on the inside. There's the McCline jab.
He's really good. Lawrence is really good. When we talk to, we've seen him before. We talked to him in the past. He just kind of floats along. He's just an egregious guy, kind of floating along in his career. But he knew the significance of tonight, and that's what he's proven.
Yeah, he's certainly stepping up with a very good performance. We're in the 5th round. And certainly some of those early rounds might have been close enough. The first round I thought McCline definitely won. The last 3 I'd be leaning toward Zuri Lawrence in him. And this round has been a fairly close round, but again, Lawrence a little bit more active.
Speaking of leaning, you don't want to get into a leaning match with somebody that is 267 pounds. It's going to tire you out if you're only 238.5 pounds. Only.
Yes, only, yeah.
Only 135 pounds.
I was going to say that would be double what you fought at just about. Good right hand by Lawrence. Did that hurt Jameel McCline? It may have.
Well, there's also McCline with a good left hook. They are heating up.
Under a minute left to go here in round number 5, and like the previous 4, it's been pretty active, especially for heavyweights. And McCline ripping a left hook and leaning on Zuri Lawrence, trying to use all that weight.
It's McCline really trying to use his experience with that weight. Look at the shoulders of Jameel. That's a lot of weight right there. Just put that on your opponent. That'll slow him down. This is the wrong kind of fight. He's been so effective, Lawrence has, fighting from the outside, moving, turning.
Final seconds, McCline pins him against the ropes. Lawrence tries to fight his way off. Good right hand by Jameel McCline. Good ending to this round. And there's Ludacris, the famous
killing him right now.
who is in the house, and he's enjoying it, you can tell.
Pretty good moves from Ludacris. You see him throwing those punches there?
For sure. One moves pretty good on stage, so you have to assume that he's got the moves.
Well, he's certainly a competitor. Ludacris. Speaking of Ludacris right now, that Jameel McCline is thinking is Ludacris that Zuri Lawrence is still in here with me, but it was McCline using his upper body strength, and it was Lawrence trying to fight off the ropes. I'd like to see some more turns from Lawrence, but he's scoring well.
Yeah, some of that body work there off the ropes for Lawrence, not too bad. Here's Zuri. We've reached the halfway point in this match, and it has been an entertaining heavyweight match. Zuri Lawrence in the black trunks and Jameel McCline in the gold. It's been a spirited affair, a lot of punches thrown, maybe more than you would anticipate from a couple of heavyweights. And whether that last flurry got Jameel McCline that 5th round, we don't know, but this could be a very close fight on the scorecards as well right now. Tommy Kimmons is the 3rd man in the ring. Lawrence continues to be the aggressor, jab and a straight right hand, push McCline against the ropes. And now a little bit of wrestling on the inside. We haven't seen too much of this.
And I would say that Lawrence would get the short end of the stick of that. Good right hand from Lawrence. High on the head. Both of them so aggressive now. See how close they're moving in? You got to punch sometimes. You got to punch while you're moving backward. Let your opponent run into something. Break!
Tommy Kimmons now forced to be a little more active in this match, a little more grabbing and holding and wrestling.
And all this hugging and holding is going to benefit Jameel.
He is 30 pounds bigger than Zuri Lawrence, weighed in at 267.5, and Lawrence at 238.5. Heavyweights in general, a lot bigger these days. Right hand by Lawrence, and Jameel comes back with his own right hand. This is the kind of round, Sean, it's going to be very difficult to score this round with all the wrestling.
Right. Unless you're a wrestling judge, well, there you are able to, give a turn or two. Some swelling around the left eye of Zuri now. One of the other effects of this kind of warring fight. A fight like this, you find out the next day you got bruises all up and down your back and all up and down your sides, everywhere. It's just difficult way to fight. And you get bruised and nicks and knocks all over your body.
Getting the body work by Zuri Lawrence. Oftentimes that's ignored by judges inappropriately, but he's done some good work. Nice right hand on the inside by Jameel McCline as we head to the last 30 seconds of this round. Round 6 could be a pivotal round because it's been a very close one, and might prove important in the overall scoring if this goes 10 rounds.
Very important, and it looks as though the tide of the fight has shifted. Early in this fight, it seemed like Lawrence was imposing his will. Now the last couple of rounds, I think Jameel has imposed his will.
McCline heads back to his corner where Jimmy Glenn will have some words. Let's listen in. There's Zuri Lawrence.
Well, the tide, I talked about the tide shifting just a bit for Jameel. This Zuri just has a big heart and a lot of guts. Walking in, and he just gets clipped with a left hook from Jameel. See the swelling around the left eye. There's a little bit of a cut or an abrasion right there underneath the eyebrow, over the eyelid, on the outside of that eye. You take a beating in there. They're tough.
We headed to round number 7 in this heavyweight encounter, and like our previous fight, in which Yuri Foreman carved out a 10-round victory, no knockdowns in this fight. Nobody's been seriously hurt, though we've seen some pretty heavy punches landed. I'm Al Bernstein, along with Sean O'Grady, and the two principals in the ring are Jameel McCline in the gold trunks and Zuri Lawrence in the black trunks. A couple of 35-year-old heavyweights. Jameel McCline, who won his last fight against Steve Fennell, but lost his previous two, trying to get himself back into a contending situation in the heavyweight division.
Yeah, not too bad. He lost to Chris Bird, the IBF heavyweight champion, and Calvin Brock, who is now the heavyweight champion. Former
contender, top contender, Calvin Brock, that's for sure.
Wait, step back, step clean. Okay, one step back.
Chris Bird, of course, the title holder.
IBF.
Yes, Chris Bird is.
And Vladimir Klitschko, the WBO champion.
Right, no budging, step clean.
Take a step back.
Okay. Right, no punching. Step clean.
Halfway through, you don't know what to do, jab.
Yeah, always a good idea.
And there's a couple of nice jabs from Big Time McCline, looking to get back into the big time. He says he's formed a path to get to the top guy and then to force a champion to face him. Looking for a top contender to face. But you got to face these kinds of fighters like Lawrence. And look at this. Here comes Zuri.
When he gets some distance and starts those combinations, for the most part, McCline has kind of gone into a cocoon. Nice combination by Lawrence.
Good left hook. You know, he's had that left hook several times tonight. It's been a great weapon for him. Zuri cracks that left hook really well. And again, we talked about the power in the left hand from him. That's where his power is because of his stance.
Wait, no punching. Right there.
Good left hook by McCline a moment ago. The output in terms of number of punches, clearly the edge to Zuri Lawrence. Now, Jameel McCline made a very pointed comment to us. He's been in since 2001. Will that turn out to be so? Because in truth, he's been pretty economical with his punches. Is that because of fatigue or by design?
No punches.
Well, we'll see. Just moments left to go here in round number 7.
Let's go.
A wild finish to the 7th round.
Well, showing a little sign of fatigue is Lawrence flopping down on the stool. A little burst of energy. Last of that round from Jameel, listening to Jimmy Glenn. Well, Zuri's tough, and he provides a lot of good action. Look at that big left hook from him. His best weapon throughout this fight has been that left hook. And then late in the round, it was McCline with a real barrage there at the end. Just an explosion. I like to see that. You change your speed. You walk your opponent down to a slow walk, and then you change the speed. You speed up. Sometimes you can catch him. Speed up.
Round number 8, as we really have an intriguing plot line going here. Zuri Lawrence, 19-10, certainly coming into this fight the underdog against Jameel McCline, longtime contender in the heavyweight division. 32-5-3 is his record. And Zuri Lawrence has performed exceedingly well in this fight. No matter what, it's quite clear the decision is very much in doubt. I might suggest that Lawrence is ahead by a point or two. Might we suggest that?
I think that would be a good assumption. I mean, he has been able to score at will. He has been able to impose on his opponent. He's been able to rally. He's been tough. He's moved in. Some of the tape coming loose now from the left glove of Zuri Lawrence. Tommy Kimmons will take a look at that.
Yeah, they should stop the action to cut that off and make sure it doesn't get into the fighter's eye, which it could. And for some reason, Tommy Kimmons can't see that. Well, it's on this side. Maybe you'll get a better look at it as they move around. We mentioned that twice before McCline has challenged for the heavyweight title against Vladimir Klitschko. They're getting the tape. And also against Chris Bird, the IBF champion, and he just lost to contender Calvin Brock. 2 fights before that.
We talk about the changing of the complexion of this fight. With them hugging the way they are, you put your arms up, a lot of times you put your hands up and under your opponent's underarms and kind of grab them around the waist. What happens is sweat from the underarms loosens that tape on there and it just comes off, so they had to retape that.
So a brief break and then we're back to the action here. McCline moving backwards and using the jab. Now he's fought a much more tactical fight, McCline, than some recent fights in which he's been more active. Has that not served him well because he has not been the bigger man going after Zuri Lawrence in many respects? I mean, should he have been more aggressive and should he have been tried to be the big puncher?
Well, he hurt him on several occasions in this fight. I think 2 different occasions. Zuri has been able to hurt Jameel. But as he admits, I'm not a finisher in these fights. I'm not a finisher. There goes the mouthpiece, and that is a sign of fatigue. When your opponent's mouthpiece comes out, that tells you a lot about his training, about how he's feeling.
Well, McCline's got that mouthpiece back in. We'll see whether, in fact, that is an indication of some kind of fatigue and whether Zuri Lawrence, as Sean points out, sees this as an opportunity because he has a tiring fighter in front of him.
You got to capitalize on that. What it says is all of a sudden he's breathing through his mouth and not breathing through his nose. And his mouth is hanging down because he's tired.
Right hand gets in by Lawrence. for Jameel McCline, you cannot overemphasize how important every fight is now at age 35. A loss, oh man, a little wild action. Look at the forearm being used by McCline. Lawrence giving him a look like, huh? What was that all about?
Well, look at Jameel with a forearm. The mouthpiece.
Good work on the inside by Zuri Lawrence.
Came out, but I'm told that it was spit out to get a few extra seconds. Tommy Kimmon's even warned him, hey, it comes out again, it's costing you.
So around 8 that Jameel McCline will not press in his memory book. And he may have some work to do. Big left hook by Lawrence as McCline comes in. A wild finish to round number 8.
Is the frustration setting in? The mouthpiece, the forearm, is he losing concentration? You know, part of conditioning is physical conditioning. Get in shape physically. More important is to get in shape mentally, to concentrate through the 12-round period of time, to follow the fight plan, to listen to your trainer. Let's listen. Well, here is some of that frustration. Look at it. Little right hand. Oh, excuse me, sir. Just, yeah, while he's tying up his other arm, pushing back. And here's a late flurry, you know, a sense of urgency coming from Jameel. The final seconds of the round when they pound on the mat, Jameel tries to score to steal the round.
So we head into round 9 in this scheduled 10-rounder. Among these heavyweights. You know, at the beginning, if we just said this fight was going to go the full distance, there might have been the thought that, ooh, it might not be as scintillating as we would like. Not so. It's been a very active and interesting fight. Jameel McCline in the gold trunks, and in the black, it is Zuri Lawrence. Lawrence, like McCline, 35 years of age, but his 19-10 record tells him that a win like this on the resume, if Lawrence could get it, would help him make more money in the next year or two.
It would raise some eyebrows in boxing. I mean, you know, think about it. Jameel McCline's been there with Chris Berg, Calvin Brock, Vladimir Klitschko, Shannon Briggs, who's here at ringside.
Yeah,
so he's been in there with a lot of top guys in the heavyweight division. And it puts Zuri Lawrence in that category of fighter. Zuri Lawrence, to this point, the biggest fighter he's faced is Tony Thompson.
Yeah, big difference. And of course,
Ray Austin, maybe, somebody like a David Bostis, Darrell Wilson.
Well, we'll see how this plays itself out. Of course, the judges will have the ultimate say if, in fact, there's no knockout in this fight. And for McCline, as we mentioned earlier, this is really, really big for him because another loss would give him 3 losses in his last 4 fights and effectively take him out of real title contention in the next year or so. And when you're 35, that's a serious issue.
Sure, people will start questioning the veracity of him wanting to be heavyweight champion of the world. You have to get by these kinds of fighters to move forward in your career for either guy.
Yeah, McCline's not supposed to have a loss to Zuri Lawrence, that's for sure. Well,
it's big time.
Yeah,
it's big time. He shouldn't. He shouldn't.
Says it right on his trunks. About a minute left to go. Good left hook by McCline and another left hook to the body. He simply, though, isn't throwing as many punches as Lawrence.
Out-hustled. You see the alacrity, the bounce in Zuri's step. Zuri wants to live, wants to win. That's some of the posturing. Judges see that.
Good right hand downstairs, so Lawrence continues his body work, which has been very effective during the course of this match. We're in round 9. It is scheduled for 10, and Jameel McCline might hear the clock ticking a little bit. Because no matter what, he knows he's in a struggle here. Look at the body work again by Zuri Lawrence. Under a half minute left to go in round 9.
I talked about this clinching not helping and really working against Zuri Lawrence. It's not helping McCline either. He can't get those bombs off.
Out of holding, and it's being initiated mostly by McCline. Round 9 comes to a close, and this issue is very much in doubt as we head into the last round.
This has been a good heavyweight match.
Go to that body.
Fast pace.
Go to the body.
I win.
Yes, yes. You're winning by a long margin, but he's going to look
No,
for
we're
a
not.
knockout.
Let's do this. We got to keep fighting.
Don't get careless.
stop. Don't get careless.
Hold it.
Please don't get
Don't get
careless.
You got to watch the head, the back of the head, the elbow.
You're winning this fight.
All right, give me the
Okay.
muscles. Give me the muscles.
Here is Zuri again with the alacrity, with the bounce, with the posturing. You know, the judges see all of this. They see Jameel trying to tie up. And Zuri,
Zuri, you got to step sideways, step backwards. Don't
Trying to
stand in
come
front
on.
of him, baby.
Okay.
Let's go, man.
round 10. This is it, the final round, and really could be a lot on the line here for both fighters.
Well, they told Zuri Lawrence in his corner they believe he's way ahead. Whether he is or not remains to be seen. They said, please don't get careless. We'll see if he does. We're in round number 10. Jameel McCline in the gold trunks. Jameel's wife, who also is involved in his business affairs in boxing, very active in his career, came up to ringside and said, you got to win this round, Jameel. So they feel that it's essential for him to win it. And for Zuri Lawrence, of course, they think he's way ahead. So we'll see what happens.
Well, you know, you never know what the judges are thinking. I'm looking at this fight. I'm still saying it could hang in the balance. Like we've both seen, anybody that's watched boxing has seen decisions that they wonder.
Yeah, and while Zuri Lawrence, we think, has been more aggressive and certainly thrown more punches, there were a number of those rounds that could have been fairly close. So while we saw some of them going for Zuri Lawrence, perhaps the judges wouldn't. And also, important point, a lot of what Zuri Lawrence has done well has been to the body. Will the judges pay attention to that? So,
but of course, we're not waffling.
Well, no, it's true because
it is true.
I mean, the fact of the matter is, you never know.
And you know, you see a different fight from different sides of the ring.
Yeah, that's also true. Halfway through
that,
round
big combination, big combination. A 1-2. Zuri Lawrence kind of needed that because McCline was coming on. They're telling McCline, get on him, throw punches. Throw a lot of shots. You got to try to take him out. They know how close this fight is.
Yeah, no matter what, you have to think that McCline at least would need to win this round. You would think. Sure. Whether that would even be enough to get him across remains to be seen.
And I don't know that he's doing that.
No, Lawrence still being the aggressor. McCline coming back with a couple shots of his own. A minute left. Remember what we said about McCline too. He's a dangerous fighter. Remember, as late as the 11th round in his last fight, Zuri Lawrence was knocked out by Sultan Ibragimov. So there's 47 seconds left for McCline to find lightning in a bottle. Will he? Oh, there's the body work again by Lawrence.
Good left hook. He's found a home for that left hook to the body and to the head all night. Zuri has. McCline on the attack, but takes a couple of shots coming in. McCline, the count is ticking.
They said don't get careless, and Zuri Lawrence just threw an uppercut from way back. His trainers had to have their heart in their throat during that one because that's dangerous. But moments left to go, and this one will go the distance as our first fight did. And unlike our first fight, we're not sure who's going to get the decision. We know one thing, journeyman Zuri Lawrence has given probably the best performance of this group.
And that was a good heavyweight fight. Yes. 10 rounds of action. Very good.
It was indeed. Jameel McCline posturing, and so is Zuri Lawrence.
Good fight, and we don't know who the winner is. But we will.
The one thing we are sure of is that Zuri Lawrence has again gone the distance. He has never knocked anyone out. He's got a 19-10 record with 4 draws. And no matter what happens here tonight, Zuri Lawrence should feel good about his performance and should feel good about the effort he gave here tonight. That isn't to suggest that he for sure will get the win, but he may well. He certainly was more active than Jameel McCline, and see McCline kind of slumped over the turnbuckle. He told us that he thought his conditioning was better than it had been at any time in the last 4 years. But in truth, I'm not sure he thought that way. And this man, Zuri Lawrence, what makes the performance by Lawrence interesting is he also mixed in things like body work and other things as well. when the final bell sounded, whether it was posturing or not, Jameel McCline trying to suggest that he had the win, as was his opponent, Zuri Lawrence.
That's home work.
I've been doing boxing for 25 years. I don't think I've ever seen a fighter kiss the camera lens. See something new every time. Well, we're going to find out who won this fight. We're going to do it right now with Bob Alexander.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 10 rounds of boxing, we go to the scorecards. Judge Rick Bay scores about 190. Judges Mark Streisand and Bill Ray both scored about 97-93 for the winner by unanimous decision, Zuri Lawrence.
Well, a very one-sided decision for Zuri Lawrence. And a bemused look and a confused one on the face of Jameel McCline. I don't think it's a big stretch that Zuri Lawrence won this fight. It might be a stretch to say it was a shutout. The 97-93 score is certainly plausible. He out-hustled Jameel McCline we thought, in most of the rounds. And really an upset, and well, it's not, certainly the way boxing's been going the last couple of years, not the biggest upset, it's still an upset.
Hey, Chris.
Happy young man, Zuri Lawrence. He gets his 20th win as a professional and surprises a lot of people in the process. Well,